And in the process of generating urea, we regenerate ornithine. And by the way, I might also mention that this the way we get rid of ammonia is first by activating it. And we saw through carbomoyl phosphate synthetase 1, we have to burn 2 ATPs to get to carbomoyl phosphate, a very energetically exhaustive process. This process, like glutamate dehydrogenase and glutaminase, occurs in the mitochondria. Okay? And in the mitochondria, ornithine transcarbamylase can transfer this part that I circled, it can transfer this part onto ornithine in the mitochondria to generate citrulline. And again, I might also specify that just like with ornithine, this is the L isomer, so we call it L-citrulline. Then L-citrulline can exit the mitochondria, and the rest of the cycle takes place in the cytosol. Citrulline reacts with argininosuccinate synthetase, and it transfers an adenylate group onto the carbon that's labeled in yellow. This activates citrulline so that you can transfer the aspartate amino acid onto it, generating argininosuccinate. And by the way, something else we also should note about this reaction is the first part of it is going to cleave off pyrophosphate. And certainly if you've seen my videos on fatty acid activation where we had fatty acyl-CoA synthetase, we also generated a pyrophosphate. And if you remember, we had an enzyme that reacted with inorganic pyrophosphate called inorganic pyrophosphatase. And what this enzyme did is it cleaved apart the pyrophosphate into 2 inorganic phosphates. And this reaction is associated with a very large negative delta G. That negative delta G, that release of free energy, that exergonic reaction, is used to drive work in the cell. Okay, so we've generated argininosuccinate, and now we're going to use argininosuccinate lyase to cleave off fumarate, and we end up generating arginine. So that's the biosynthesis, at least the first one we've seen for the amino acids. Okay, and the fumarate can then go into the TCA cycle and react with fumarate hydratase to give us this. This is malate, right? And then malate dehydrogenase, this is oxaloacetate, completing the TCA cycle, and also in the process giving us 1 NADH. Okay, so when we're going throughout these pathways, just think about that. We're going to generate all sorts of metabolites in these processes. Just think about where they might go in the cell. So star fumarate, keep that in mind. And also keep in mind NADH and things like that. Okay, so we have arginine, and then to complete the cycle, which is going to occur in the cytosol, we're going to hydrolyze off urea, and that regenerates ornithine, which goes back into the mitochondria to reset the cycle. Okay, so I hope this video gave you a little bit of intuition on the urea cycle. See you in the next video. In this video, what I hope to do is really solidify what we know about the urea cycle. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to first talk very briefly about transaminases. And actually, in the next video, we're also going to talk about transaminases. We're going to talk about alanine aminotransferase. And also what we're going to do to really solidify the urea cycle is to talk about the aspartate argininosuccinate shunt. We talked about generating fumarate, and we talked about supplying argininosuccinate synthetase with aspartate. How do we do that? We're going to answer that in this video. Welcome back. In the last video, we looked at the urea cycle, and we saw that the urea cycle is useful for eliminating ammonia from the body, especially in times of a high-protein diet, or when we're constantly catabolizing amino acids. Okay, and we're actually going to do a continuation of that in the last half of this video. But before we do that, we're going to talk about a really, really important topic. And by the way, this topic is important not only for amino acid catabolism, but it's also important in amino acid biosynthesis and nucleic acid biosynthesis. So you'll see this again and again and again, so it's good that you get it now. Okay, so let's say that I have this molecule right here. And if I ask you what functional group that is, you would tell me that it's a carbonyl, right? And let's say that I have some enzymatic pathway, but that pathway does not require a carbonyl. Instead, it requires this. Let's say that instead it requires an amine, right? So instead of requiring the carbonyl, it requires an amine. Well, it would be good and dandy if I had the amine, right? But instead I have the carbonyl, and that's a problem, right? Because the pathway wants this guy, right? It wants the amine, okay? Well, it turns out that there's a type of enzyme that can interconvert carbonyls and amines, okay? And it pains me to say this, but I'll say it anyways. just because it helps conceptualize what's happening. Okay? It pains me to say this, but you can effectively think of these reactions as a substitution reaction between a carbonyl and an amine. Now note that I'm not telling you that's what happens mechanistically. In fact, mechanistically, from an organic perspective, is very, very different, and it requires pyridoxal phosphate as a coenzyme. But effectively, when you're drawing reactions and you're trying to think of structures on the exam, this is what you can do. It's a substitution between a carbonyl and an amine. But where does the amine come from, right? So that would imply that you also have to start with another molecule that has to have an amine as well. You do. So let's say that I start with this, let's say R double prime and R triple prime. And let's say this has amine on it, right? Well, if it's truly an effective substitution, then I can put this amine in here, I can put this amine in here, and then I should get a carbonyl out of this, right? So what did we just see? Well, we just saw that a carbonyl was transformed into an amine, and an amine was transferred or transformed into a carbonyl. Okay? The type of enzyme that catalyzes this reaction is called a transaminase. Sometimes they're called aminotransferases. But the key with transaminases is they're usually they're always interconverting carbonyls and amines. Okay? And one thing that's important to realize is most of the time, like 99% of the time in the pathways you're going to see, the carbonyls and ketone, sometimes it can be an aldehyde, but ordinarily it's going to be a ketone. And I believe, for the purposes of Leninger's Biochem 1 and 2, that textbook, 6th edition, I believe everything's a ketone. I might be wrong, but basically the carbonyl is usually a ketone. It can be an aldehyde, but you're just saying it's carbonyl, and it's going to be transformed into an amine. Okay. And well, it's good and all to see a very generic reaction like this, but it's probably going to be more effective for you to see an actual reaction to something that's actually happening in your body. Okay, and to do that, let's go ahead and look up this picture up here. Okay, now the main thing I want to put your attention to in this video is the TCA cycle, which is shown right here. Right, there's the citric acid cycle, and you can't really see it too well, but right where it says malate aspartate shown right here, this is sort of the division line between mitochondria and the cytosol. So everything above that red line, that's the cytosol, right? And everything below the line is in the mitochondria, right? And if you remember, the citric acid cycle takes place in the matrix of the mitochondria, right? Okay. And let's think back to gluconeogenesis. Well, if we think back to gluconeogenesis, right, what did we do? Well, we took a molecule of pyruvate, right, and we used pyruvate carboxylase, which is in the mitochondria, and we converted it to oxaloacetate, which is shown there, right here in the CCA cycle, right? There's oxaloacetate. But if you remember, right, there were no transporters in the membrane of the mitochondria for oxaloacetate, right? So we had a molecule of oxaloacetate, right? And there were a few ways we got around it, right? The first way we got around it is we first converted oxaloacetate into malate, right? So we convert it into malate, and then we transport malate across the membrane. So then we transport malate across the membrane, and then we convert it back to oxaloacetate. So there are no transports for oxaloacetate, right? But if we were to first convert it into malate using mitochondrial malate dehydrogenase, then transport malate across the membrane, and then convert it back to oxaloacetate with cytosolic malate dehydrogenase, right? Then we'd effectively move oxaloacetate out into the cytosol, where gluconeogenesis can occur. And if you remember, that would that oxaloacetate would react with phosphoenolpyruvate carboxyl-kinase to give you phosphoenolpyruvate. So that was one way we got around getting oxaloacetate through the membrane, but it's just ineffective moving it across the membrane. It wasn't actually moving it across because we're actually moving malate across. What was another way? Well, another way we got around it, and the only way we've seen so far, is we first converted it to phosphoenolpyruvate, and that was done by phosphoenolpyruvate carboxyl-kinase, and that is a mitochondrial enzyme. Okay? And actually, if you were to label what are mitochondrial, this is mitochondrial, and this one is cytosolic, right? But we use phosphoenolpyruvate carboxyl-kinase in the mitochondria, and then once we did that, then we could transport phosphoenolpyruvate out of the mitochondria into the cytosol, right? So PEP would now be in the cytosol, and then we could run gluconeogenesis, right? Well, it turns out there's one more way to get oxaloacetate effectively through the membrane, okay? And that's going to be using a transaminase, okay? So what I'm going to do now for you is I'm going to draw the reaction of a transaminase. So let's do this. Let's draw oxaloacetate. So right here we're drawing oxaloacetate. And I'm going to specifically point you to the carbonyl that I talked about. Notice there are three specifically talking about the ketone one. So this is the one I'm talking about, okay? And it turns out that oxaloacetate can be interconverted. This is an equilibrium reaction. It can be interconverted with aspartate. So if we're doing aspartate, we're going to do it like this. So here's going to be aspartate. And the carbonyl would effectively be replaced by the amine, right? And this would be the alpha amine of aspartate, right? So this molecule right here, let me do it in gray. This molecule is oxaloacetate, and this molecule is aspartate, specifically is L-acetate, right? Okay. But how is it that we get from oxaloacetate to aspartate, right? Well, we have to have an amine to start with, right? Well, what's the amine? Well, the amine that we start with is going to be glutamate. It's going to be glutamate, okay? So let's start with glutamate. Give me a second to draw it. So here is glutamate. And if we're pointing to the amine that we're starting with, it's this one right here, right? There's our amine. And if you remember the reaction of the transaminase, you should expect expect that particular bond to now be a carbonyl, and in fact it will be. So effectively what happens is that amine that's circled in orange, that amine is this amine right here, right? So we should also expect that particular amine to be replaced with a carbonyl. And if I ask you what molecule is that, you should tell me that it's alpha-ketoglutarate. Alpha-ketoglutarate, okay? So this molecule that I just drawn, this is alpha-ketoglutarate. Alpha-ketoglutarate. So that particular, this carbonyl effectively is this right here. So you can effectively say this carbonyl was now moved right here. So what did we just see? Well, if we have a molecule A, right? If we have a molecule A that has a carbonyl, and we need to convert it to molecule B that has an amine, we can use glutamate to transfer the amine to the carbonyl. In other words, we can replace the carbonyl of molecule A with the amine of glutamate. And that's going to give us molecule B and alpha-ketoglutarate. This is an important fact, okay? This is the reaction of a transaminase. This is the most common transaminase reaction. It's going to, in this direction, it's going to burn a glutamate and generate an alpha-ketoglutarate. And if we're actually to continue this further, we could draw alpha-ketoglutarate going into the TCA cycle, right? It would be consumed by the alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase complex, right? Okay. And why is this particular fact important? Well, the fact is that oxaloacetate transporters do not exist in the mitochondrial membrane. So another way that we can say to get around this fact is to convert oxaloacetate to aspartate and then move aspartate across the mitochondrial membrane into the cytosol. And if we need to convert it back to oxaloacetate there, we can. Okay, we can use transaminases. Okay, but the whole point is that we have no oxaloacetate transporters in the mitochondrial membrane, so we have to have these three ways to get it effectively out into the cytosol. So now at this point, let's go over this cycle. And this whole cycle is referred to the aspartate argininosuccinate shunt of the citric acid cycle. Okay, so let's kind of follow. We already know about the citric acid cycle, the CCA cycle. We already know about that, right? And we know that the terminal product of it is oxaloacetate. And we saw that oxaloacetate has a ketone, right? And then ketone is going to get replaced with the amine from glutamate. And in the process, we end up generating alpha-ketoglutarate and aspartate. So in other words, the amine that's on glutamate, the alpha-amine glutamate, is now the alpha-amine of aspartate. And we have aspartate shuttles, aspartate transporters in the membrane of the mitochondria, and we can take that into the cytosol, right? Okay, let's look at the top path first. Okay, that's the path that's going this way, right? Okay, notice that we react with argininosuccinate synthetase, right? We know that that particular enzyme requires aspartate, right? If we go back over here and look at the reaction, right, it's right here, right there, okay? We take citrulline, right? And first react with ATP and activates the citrullyl AMP intermediate, right? That raises citrulline energy and activates it for the attachment of aspartate. By itself, citrulline won't just attach to aspartate. You have to raise it in energy first, and we already looked at that in the previous video. But the aspartate is going to be required for argininosuccinate synthetase. And then, once we get argininosuccinate lyase leads off fumarate. That's an important fact we have to take into account. So if you notice in this picture of my mouse, if you come back to this picture, right, here's the fumarate that we generated from argininosuccinate lyase, right? That fumarate does no good in the cytosol, right? Because that's no good. The TCA cycle that consumes it is in the mitochondria. So there's a way we get about getting it back into the mitochondria. Notice that we can convert it to malate, and I'll give you a minute to pause the video so you can figure out which enzyme does that. And I'll see that you gotta go at it. The enzyme is called fumarate. It is called fumarate hydratase, or sometimes it's short to fumarase, right? You only get the L isomer of malate, right? You just get L malate, right? But remember, there are malate transporters in the membrane, so we can easily shuttle malate across the mitochondrial membrane into the matrix, right? And then the malate can be kicked up right back into the TCA cycle, and again, we can react with the malate dehydrogenase to give us back oxaloacetate, right? And that whole process was initiated by converting oxaloacetate to aspartate using a transaminase, okay? All right, well, let's look at the second case. Let's say that we just need to get oxaloacetate out into the cytosol. One way we can do that is we can first convert oxaloacetate into aspartate, right? And then we can transport aspartate across the membrane of the mitochondria. Well, then we can simply reverse the reaction using a cytosolic transaminase, in which case we take the alpha-amine from aspartate and we reattach it to make the alpha-amine from glutamate. In other words, we're taking aspartate and converting it back to oxaloacetate in the cytosol. So effectively what we're doing in the cytosol is we're reversing the reaction that took place in the mitochondrial matrix. Okay? So in one case we have the mitochondrial transaminase, we're reversing the process with the cytosolic transaminase. And in the cytosolic transaminase, when we have oxaloacetate, we use alpha-ketoglutarate and actually generate glutamate. Okay? So in other words, the amine just traded places on the molecule. It was on aspartate, then I got transferred to alpha-ketoglutarate to make glutamate. And of course we generate oxaloacetate. But we can also take that oxaloacetate and convert it back to malate using cytosolic malate dehydrogenase, and then put it back into the mitochondrial matrix where it can re-enter into the TCA cycle, right? And then of course malate can react with malate dehydrogenase to form oxaloacetate. So the whole point of this picture is really just to show you, namely, that oxaloacetate cannot get across the membrane, but we have ways of effectively getting it across the membrane, right? And once you have aspartate in the cytosol, you can react with arsenianosuccinate synthetase to give you arsenianosuccinate, and then you can react with arsenianosuccinate lyase to give you fumarate. So that's the other thing that this picture is showing you. How do you get fumarate back into the cytoplasm, into the mitochondrial matrix? Well, you react with cytosol and fumarate hydratase to give you L-malate, and then L-malate can be transported across the mitochondrial membrane. So I hope this video gave you a little bit of intuition on transaminases and a little bit more detail on the urea cycle. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to look at another example of a transaminase, and it's really just exposure. We're going to look at alanine aminotransferase. See you in the next video. Welcome back to the playlist on amino acid metabolism. Okay. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to look at the mechanism of a transaminase. Okay. Now, in the direction that alanine biosynthesis is going to require glutamate and pyruvate, and they should be on alpha in here. And we know our glutamate right here, this is our glutamate that comes into the active site. Now, at rest, before the mechanism actually starts, the glutamate is actually going to be forced to be in its alpha-amine G-protein state. So that means the alpha-amine is going to have this lone pair right here. And that lone pair is going to be what's catalytically active initially. Okay? Now, in general, there are going to be two systems that are going to be catalytically active in the active site of the transaminase. One of them is this pyridoxal phosphate that's down here. Okay? This right here, I'm going to circle in green. This is pyridoxal phosphate, this down here. This is pyridoxal phosphate. And the pyridoxal phosphate at rest, before the mechanism starts, is tied in a shift-based linkage to a lysine in the active site. And we're effectively going to eliminate lysine. And once we eliminate it, the lysine is also going to be the other catalytically active part of the active site. So the only two catalytically active things directly are going to be a lysine residue, which is what you see here, and the pyridoxal phosphate. Okay? There are other residues in the active site, certainly, but all they're doing is they're basically bysins that are stabilizing the pyridoxal phosphate and other things in the active site. Okay? So without boring you any further, let's actually look at the mechanism. Now, actually, one thing I do want to do first is, let's say that instead of doing this direction, you're going the opposite direction. So you start with alanine, right? Plus alpha-ketoglutarate, of course, and that would be going in the direction of L-glutamate, right? Plus pyruvate, okay? What you need to be aware of for these mechanisms is they're identical. Okay, so if you were going to do that, you basically take this group right here, you can call that your R group, right? That's R, right? So basically, in the direction we're running in this video, our R group is a superpinate group. That's part of glutamate, right? Our group is a superpinate group. But if you're running in the other direction, which is alanine metabolism, you would just replace that with a methyl group, right? Because alanine is a methyl group. In this direction, we're going to do this, I did that before. In this direction, we're going to require pyruvate, right? We're going to require pyruvate. Well, that's our alpha-keto acid, but basically what we can say is this group right here is a methyl group, okay? That's our R prime, right? And that will become alanine. Now, if we're running in the other direction, which I did in purple, our alpha-ketoglutarate plus alanine goes to glutamate pyruvate. This R group, not R prime, but R, that would be a methyl group, whereas our R prime, because it requires alpha-ketoglutarate, would be a propionate. I hope that makes sense. Mechanistically, though, these are going to be identical, so just bear that in mind, okay? They're identical, okay? All you do is replace those groups with different groups, okay? Now, the first step in the mechanism, I'll give you steps in yellow, is going to be nucleophilic attack of this nitrogen of the alpha-amine of glutamate on the shift-based carbon, which is activated between the lysine and the pyridoxal phosphate. That's going to force a proton transfer from the alpha-amine, and you end up generating another lone pair on the nitrogen. And this will be this bond right here between the hydrogen and the nitrogen right there. That's this lone pair right here, okay? And because we're going to eliminate the lysine in two steps, because it's a two-step mechanism, it's not bimolecular, okay? It's actually a unimolecular elimination, okay? So what's going to happen now is this lone pair is going to kick back in here and perform the elimination, okay? And that's going to kick off the lysine residue in the Z-proteinated form. So what we have to understand right now is the lysine is in the Z-proteinated form, and that's what's going to initiate the catalysis, okay? And also keep in mind now that what was the glutamate is now in a shift-based linkage to the pyridoxal phosphate, okay? Now, in this step of the mechanism, what's going to happen is we're going to deprotonate the alpha carbon glutamate. So this lone pair is going to come here and attack this proton, and what that's going to do is force the formation of something called a quizonoid intermediate. So let's actually look at the electron pushing right now. So you form a double bond there. This bond comes in here to form a double bond, and you get another rearrangement here of the pyridoxal phosphate ring, okay? And this structure right here, okay? Let me do it like this. This structure right here, okay? This is called the quinonoid intermediate, okay? It's called quinonoid because it's similar to that of a quinone. If you were to look at a quinone, it looks like this, okay? This is a quinone. Notice how in a quinone, you have a double bond right here, which is a carbonyl. You would normally have another carbonyl there, and two double bonds right here, okay? So you can, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it's similar enough to what they call quinonoid. And when you hear oid as the suffix suffix on a word, oftentimes what that means is that it's similar to, but not the same thing as. Okay, so it's not a quinone, certainly, but it's similar to it. But it's essentially what it is, it's the quinone version of a pyridine ring, okay, where you have a double bond on the top. Okay. So now what's going to happen is this intermediate, this quinone intermediate is going to collapse, and it's going to funnel these electrons back out, and it's going to cause the deprotonation of electrons. These electrons will come over here, and